Good morning, folks. We have a system that we've set up for a school that lets us create an education plan. Let me show you what that education plan looks like. So we have a education plan template, and it looks like this. Um, as as a teacher fills out a form, we use Autocrat to populate this sheet right here, and we do that with what we use Autocrat to fill in this information. But if we take a look at the form, we can see that all we're collecting is a student name, and then a grade level, and a teacher email, and then the teacher chooses from all these different curriculums: math, reading, writing, um, social studies, science, and health. And this is a charter school, so their curriculum can be different. So we create an education plan that would fill out all this data, but you can see we're collecting a lot more data into this education plan than is in this form, because all we're really collecting is the curriculum. So how do we do that? Well, we do that with the education plan, with the sheet, and let me show you that. So I've opened up the sheet, and I've shrunk these columns down, so I'm hiding those names. That's some information that shouldn't be shown. So what we do is we have our submissions, and then we have a sheet for math. And in math, we have the curriculum, and then we have its table of contents, the number of lessons, the pacing guides, the work samples, and the standards. And we have one of those for each one of our curriculum areas. And then what we do then, if we take a look at this, we're collecting this data, math, from the form, as we pointed out here, we're collecting just these. The teachers, when they fill the form out, are selecting a curriculum for each of the areas. Then what we do to get this other data available to us is we have formulas here, and we're pulling in the math table of contents, the math number of lessons, pacing guides, and so forth. So as soon as the form is filled out, this data is filled out with these VLOOKUPs, and we have that for each one of the curriculum areas. So all of this data then is available to Autocrat when we use Autocrat and this template to fill it out. So let's take a look at what these education plans look like. Let me put this away and show you a finished education plan. So here's a folder, and these are made up students. These aren't real students. So here's an education plan for a student that is completed, and you can see Autocrat build this for, and this is the working project that the teacher uses. Student signs it, teacher signs it, parent signs it, dates it. Anyway, this is the working education plan for each student. And again, this is built with Autocrat. So then we have another project that we use, and that's this project. In this project, we have, again, these are my dummy students. This project has a whole bunch of scripting that I'm not going to go through, but what I wanted to go through today is the EdPlan URLs. So what was happening for the teachers was they every time a new student is created in this system, it creates a new form URL, and that form URL is the form that is individually set up for every student. So every student has their own form. And in this case, I have one of these open, this Bob Jones, and you can see here's a kindergarten. And so when a parent fills this out, what they're doing is uploading their work samples. But what the teachers wanted to do was to get this reading progress from the ed plan onto the form. And they were doing that by copying and pasting. So for instance, if I were to open up Bob Jones, let me see if I go here, if I open up Bob Jones' plan, what would have to happen, what had been happening is a teacher would have to copy the number of, copy the table of, well, copy the number of lessons, and then come over to Bob's form and paste in all of this information. So that was very time consuming. So what we did, and this is what this scripting is that I want to show you, we came up with a way to write a script that gets the data, first of all, gets the ed plan. We have two scripts here. One is a script to pull in the ed plan from the folder with that name. Now, it would be difficult to find that, so what we had to do is, in this script, we are getting the ID of the folder. That would be this folder right here, test URLs, ends in an FYD. You can see in my script. Okay, so that's the folder. We're getting the sheet by name ed plan, so we're getting this sheet and we're getting that folder. Okay, and then what we're wanting to do is find a match from the name. Now the name, the only thing we have on this sheet is the name. So if I have the name and I know that every file in my folder is named name education plan, and so forth. So then in my script I was able to take find a way, all of this, what this does is gets all of the file names, that's the list of names that's in the sheet, gets, and what we're going to do is, this is an empty array, so this is what runs through the files, it goes to the folder, gets all the files, and as long as there's another file, it gets the file name, and those would be the file names that we have right here. Beth Billy, Bob Jones, and then what the script does is it compares, it takes this data that we have, the data is A2A, so that's this data right here. We're getting that data and we're comparing that data, the name plus the education plan. So what we're doing is saying, find me an exact match for a file that says Bob Jones education plan. And when you find that, get its URL and put that URL into this sheet right here, because we're going to need that sheet. So let me show you what happens when we run that script. I've set up a menu item. Let's get the ed plan URLs. So the script is running. It's iterating through all the rows. And now you can see I have Bob Jones education plan, Susie Harris education plan, Bob, and so forth. So I have one of my forms open. So what we're wanting to do is, the second script is to get the data here, get our sheet, our sheet by name, get this ed plan sheet, and what we want to do is we want to open up, we want to get the ed plan URL. Okay, we have that, and we want to get the form URL. We want to copy parts of the data from the ed plan URL over to the form URL on these particular spaces in here, so that at the click of a button, no more copy and paste, this data is pasted over here. So this script basically gets the doc URL, gets the form URL, checks to see whether this has already been done, and that's this column here where it says completed. So once that's completed, so let's take a look. All these other ones are done, but I've cleared the data out on Bob. So let me uncheck that, because this is an if statement down that says if completed is blank. So then what this does is it's going to update, going to get the data from the sheet, get the data from the sheet, then it's going to go and get the data from the document. That would be Bob Jones's document. It's going to get the data. Now, this is a sheet, so I can't reference a cell like I could in a spreadsheet, I'm referencing and using in this script a delimiter. You'll see what where this is working. Well, what I'm doing is breaking out the delimiters here. I'm calling a function to run reading, writing, math, all these different texts. And so here's the reading text, and you can see where I have these delimiters. And the delimiter is reading TOC, and delimiter is writing. So if we take a look at Bob Jones, we'll see that reading TOC, so that's the beginning. That marks where I want to start collecting at the end of that. So we're going to collect that all the way over to where the word writing is, and it's going to collect all this data here. So that's how I'm able to make this work, gathering data from a doc to the form. And the script goes on and on. We have the reading, the writing, and so forth. This script update form runs all these individual scripts, and and then once it's done, it fills it out as completed, and then it's going to check and see if the status is blank. Then we're going to go ahead and run this. Otherwise, it's not going to run. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. We've already collected my URLs, and now we're going to collect the data to Bob Jones. And notice Bob Jones' reading ed plan is blank, his writing ed plan is blank, and so forth. So let's come here and let's run the copy ed plan to form script. And that's going to take a while because it's got to evaluate, and notice actually it's done because there was only one. It tells me now that's completed, and if I take a look at Bob Jones, sure enough, all that data that was on Bob Jones's plan, this 30 lessons, all of this stuff, monthly, quarter, these things are all now in Bob Jones's 30. Well, let's see, that was reading. Let's go back here to Bob to reading. So 54 lessons, all of this 20-minute lesson, 54. If I come here and take a look, you can see that 54 lessons and blah, blah, blah. And then you can see it's also filled out for writing, it's filled out for math, and so forth. And it was all pretty quick. So in summary, this is a system that lets us grab the URL of the ed plan that was created under a different system. This work sample system generates a new form URL. We have that right there, and we're then taking a script that will get the data that we want from this particular document and paste it directly into the form so that a teacher doesn't have to copy and paste. Very big time saver. And now when the parents open this form, you can see if I open what this form looks like. You have to choose a month, and then you go next. So this is what the parent would look at. They can see what their ed plan is, and then they're supposed to fill this out and upload work sample files. That's how the system works. So hope this is helpful, and thanks for watching.